And we have some amazing farmers to hear from still. So the Jemez Pueblo folks are coming up. And I think we're going to start with the Strictly Roots PowerPoint. Okay, so you all can introduce yourselves in just a second.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tawana Yepa, and from Jemez Pueblo. We are beginning our journey here into farming in a more modern way with hoop houses and extending the season. We're called Strictly Roots Greenhouse, and I'll let Eileen introduce herself.
Are we doing introductions real quick? Oh, okay. We'll just do quick introductions and then start it off. So my name is Eileen Shendo. I was fortunate to meet some of you last year, so it's good to see the same faces and here, same individuals, and just new progress and new goals for this coming year.
Hello, I'm Dale Toyo, and it's good to see all of you that came from last year and everybody else that is new.
Greetings, my name is Justin Casaquito. Like you said, from Jemez, and thanks for coming. And did you want to finish up with Strictly Roots? Okay.
So we've had a long year and a half of planning, I would say, and really developing the long-term vision for ourselves. This was a kind of culminated vision between all of us and our own individual kind of goals of what we were setting for ourselves. As farmers, myself, I'm kind of like a 15-year educator working in higher ed and was working with a lot of students on training, entering not only college but the workforce. And so a big component became the workforce development and getting into a place where we can be economically sound but be creating jobs that are kind of definitive to who we are, especially around our values. And I felt like that was a lack. Like I was sending so many kids off to school, but they didn't have anywhere to go with some of their things, or were having to let go of who they were in order to enter the job force at what we were being told was accommodating, and that was their, others' view of success. So real quickly, we've dwindled down kind of our wording to it being a social enterprise committed to creating access to local and fresh foods in order to have a positive impact on the physical and economic health of those we serve. Primarily, our individuals and our goal of kind of our outreach is Sandoval County. There's a lot of tribes, a lot of pueblos in the area, as well as it's rural, and there's a big food desert in here. And so what we've seen is a big infestation of like Family Dollar and Dollar Trees coming to compensate what people are using as their everyday means of living and food. And so all we know is it's frozen, chemically packed, and they're just not good for us. But we weren't able to find one spot. And so that's what our vision was, to really work with farmers in our community, specifically in Jemez Pueblo, that farm traditionally. They're farmers, they have lineage, but at the same time, they couldn't do it year round. And that's really where AFSC helped to bring in the supports and the knowledge on how to come towards a more modern approach. So I feel like I'm surrounded by our farmers where, these two individuals have long histories with families and so forth, and Tawana really brought more of a modernized technique, but everyone was doing this work in both. They were all trying to balance out like farming at home and what we're used to, but also farming for more modernized, conservative, more just like, I guess you would say, efficient ways to really build, so that became more commercialized. And that was always a lingering conversation within our tribes. And so I think all of us finally were like, let's just do it. And that's really where we started. And so a year down, Strictly Roots Greenhouse has created the partnerships with our two charter schools, a K through 8 San Diego Riverside Charter School, and you'll see pictures. That's where our current coal frame that we built this past few months was built. This is what we call the monster. This is where we started last year at Dalesfield and was able to grow what ended up being about 800 pounds of produce that we delivered to the schools, both Walletho High Charter, which is the 9th through 12th, and San Diego Riverside charters. And really, it was like our first means of trial and error as well. So a lot of it was donated because we wanted to show them we could do it. And we're really having to prove to ourselves and our community that we can do this for ourselves and within ourselves, because I think there's a lot of skepticism. And it's funny because we've brought like volunteers from UNM to who are like weeding for us, but because they're UNM titled and labeled, they're like, oh, and it almost kind of validated us more. So we're like, we got to change some stuff in our own community, because it is our community members. It is our own youth, because a lot of these young guys started off younger and making these changes and lifestyle changes younger. And so we can go on to a few on, but yeah. And this was just, these are our kids. Our kids are involved in a lot of the process in our family. And so it was, you know, us really doing all the transplants and preparation. And then as things grew through the year, we were able to partner with folks like we had Eastern Tennessee State University students come out at one point, and they helped to prep. And then we had our students from the Walthall High Charter and the UNM Public Health grad students came out a few times. And we're like, they're so excited. And it was so funny because there was a lady who was from like, do you remember what part of Africa she was from? And she was like, I'm going to call my mom. And we're like, why? She was like, because they sent me from Africa to the States to learn, to figure out economic development. And I'm going to tell her I'm at a field trip where they're showing me economic development is all farming. And it's what we did at home. You know what I mean? It's like indigenous populations, what we're talking about. This kind of, we knew innately this was our means to survival. And right now we're kind of finding that all the materialism out of all that stuff and things we're thrown at, like this is the means to survival. And so it's just really neat to see everyone, and all of us have had our kids involved in other ways. These are the students from Eastern Tennessee State helping, and that's the same field. So they can describe kind of the ditches and how they use the current flood irrigation systems and how it works for the tribes. But we have, we found recently about 25,000 available land to farm on in Jemez Pueblo, similar to a lot of the other tribes. And so tribes are really at a critical point with our federal government because they're monitoring our land usage and what was kind of defined as agricultural use, and they're really coming at tribes saying, if you're not going to use it, we're going to take it, or it's going to have an impact or jeopardize your seniority rata rights. So we all know that with the Sequias and the tribes of the senior rata rights and those issues. So this was also a kind of goal built into Strictly Roots greenhouses. Naturally, you're bringing your farmers and your people who are at, you know, on the playing field together to be able to be in larger numbers and a voice for each other. So you can just kind of go through. And this was us, we started building the cold frame. So our goal was to have 3 hoop houses out. We had the 3 individual farmers and wanted their plots. And as we learned through the year with like crops being eaten to grasshoppers was the main one, and then also scheduling conflicts. We really wanted to be a hands-on lab for the schools that we were working with, and they couldn't make it, the travel distance. And so what we all opted for at the end of it, through a lot of discussion, a lot of this is consensus building and teamwork, but what we found through it is that our first cold frame we wanted to do was at the Riverside Charter. Both schools used the same kitchen to prep their food, and again, we're able to do a lot more. So you can see the schools off kind of further to the top end, and that's supportable, and then it has a permanent structure to the other side. So the kids are like constantly like waiting for it. What was really neat was we had individuals come out from, I think, Los Angeles at one point, San Francisco, and we did some field dream making projects with them. So thank you, AFSC, because as part of this, and like I said, we just said we're doing this. Like, there's not really like a straight plan that we were following. It was like, we know there's networks, we know there's individuals we can go to, and it kind of started out that way. So as they came and they helped us do these dream mapping with the students, a few months down the road, we were able to say we can actually build that. And so we kind of built the structure. They had a track field going around it. So we're talking with the school board and the principals to see how much of that field we can really build into what they had envisioned themselves. So going back to making these kids know that, you know, with hard work, dreams, working together, you know, you can really make it come true and make it viable for your own people in your community. So thank you. That's the part on Strictly Roots Greenhouse and kind of the process. And then these 2 individuals will talk more about their own experiences with their farms and so forth.
And this was just a photo of an article that we had published in the Yucca Accord, which is a Pueblo Youth Editors Project. So it was just talking about pretty much like what we just presented to you, the reasons why we're farming, the needs in the community from health, the different health needs to the lack of access to, creating economic opportunities in our community. So we were excited about that because that went out to different places in the Pueblo community. So that was kind of something to kind of get our project out there. Yeah. Okay. So pass it over to these guys now.
Greetings. Thanks again for coming. I'd say about 8-9 years ago, I started this business. It's called Wadashila Gardens. Wadashila in Toa means green, so it's basically green gardens. And I used to work in organic field in the East Mountains, and I learned a lot of stuff there. And they gave me seeds to plant stuff like this. We've been planting food for a long time. Pueblo people are agriculturalists for a long time, and that's why I have these pictures, just to show like indigenous people have been doing this for a long time. It's nothing new, and it's just good to see that like us at this point are still following this same traditions. And I put these pictures in here just to show like where we come from and how we relate to what we are doing. And back when I was working at the organic farm, I was looking at these people because they weren't from here. They weren't locals here. One from Florida, one from Chicago, but they were planting all kinds of stuff, onions, chard, and things like that. And I was like, man, I can do the same thing up in Jemez. These guys are paying for water. They paid for the land over here. We have the water rights in Jemez. We have the land. I was like, why can't I do this? So the following year, the same guys that I worked for gave me seeds to plant. And with those seeds, I planted a lot of stuff. They gave me a lot of seeds, and I just started planting stuff. And this is like 8 years ago when I started the business. And when I started it, when I started bringing stuff to the market, like the table you saw in the first picture, people were like, whoa, what is that? What's chard? What are greens? Like, people didn't know. So I had to explain to them like what they were and how to cook them and things like that. So it was reintroducing and introducing certain types of farming that has been done and new type of techniques. And then my dad helped me create this greenhouse to start starter plants, and this is just a picture of that. We started using row covers. This is my cousin Cam here. Our cousin Cam, he couldn't make it today, but he's here in spirit. Obviously, he's been helping since day one. And in Jemez, we flood irrigate everything. And this is it here, flood irrigation on the left, and then we just pull the row cover over, and we have everything germinate under there like that. And as far as the carrots, like you were saying earlier, we do really good with carrots too. As long as the soils worked really well and it doesn't have too much clay, the carrots should do fairly good. The only issue with doing flood irrigation with carrots is the first go around, when you're first planting, you have to just let the water go slow, like real slow, because I think that's where some people have issues, is if they turn the water on too fast, the carrots just get washed away. And this is kind of like some of the waffle garden style. These are garlic that I planted in spring, and these pictures are from all the years that I've been farming. It's not just this past year, but it's through all the years that I've been doing the past 8 years. So just wanted to show you some of the stuff. And my family has a lot of different plots that we farm at, and we crop rotate. So some areas we'll plant for like 2 or 3, even 4 years, and then we'll just leave it and go to another spot. So it's the spots we go to are rich in soil, so we don't have to add fertilizer or nothing because it's all ready to go. And if we are right, yeah, everything back in there is all farmland. What's that? Oh, everything in the back behind the field is farmland. It's a lot of acreage. And just more pictures. Garlic. Back, I think maybe like 6 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, when I started my business, Eileen and I were working with the charter school, and this is a group of ZIA students that I took to the field to help plant onions. And a presentation, and then this is the farm that I worked at in the East Mountains, and it's just bins and bins and bins of produce. And this is where I got the inspiration from. And then these are some of the students, like she was saying, from UNM that came. This and then that one on the left, and then me setting up at the markets, radishes, beets up on the right. This is a field of what do you call it? Garlic, and my daughter's helping me plant it. This is another field, same thing. This row here is carrots and radishes, and like the guy said earlier, I do the same thing with carrots as radishes as well. I plant them together because the radishes break up the dirt and it helps the carrots to germinate. And here's some corn, flood irrigation, and just more stuff: squash, more corn, broccoli, melons, cucumbers, onions, garlic, chard, beets, spinach, carrots, beets, more greens, pumpkins, sunflowers, chili, market, more corn. And I have a bunch of pictures. I'm just going to whiz through them. But this is the stuff I've been doing. And it's inspiring when the elders come to the farmers market and they tell you these stories of their parents plant it just like that. And there's somehow, I think, when people had to make a choice between I need to go work a 9 to 5 to pay the bills because the farm work wasn't paying off as much as they thought it would, and people had to make a choice. And I think that's where the disconnect happened at some point within the last century, or in the 1900s. So I took it upon myself to be like, I wanted to take the used to out of the phrase and be like, we're still doing it now. Like, I want to carry the tradition. So I picked it up and I just went all the way in, and this is the stuff that came out, and it was great. And this is Mogro used to come up to Hamus, and I would sell to Mogro, mobile grocery. And there's another picture up there on the left of some more students, and my daughter's there in the water boots. They love being at the field like that. And just more stuff. Do a lot of canning as well with the surplus produce that we have, and we try to save as much as we can so we don't waste any of it. I do a lot of donating to the senior center as well, and also to the schools. This year so far, I've taken probably about 20 pounds to the charter school. And this is another market. There's a bunch of garlic. These are native melons, local to Hamus. And I got them from an elder up in Hamus. He saw what I was doing and how much produce I was planting every year. And he came up to me and said, here, take these seeds because I know you'll do good with them. And I've been planting them ever since. And they're a yellow meat. And then just more melons, more chili, corn, and then here's a tray of corn pollen. We use corn pollen to pray up in Hamus, and we collect it when the tassels are ready to pick. And I don't know, I thought this was cool because it's just nations coming together, and I just threw it in there. Because we're all connected, like he was saying, like in Mexico, like we're all connected, like indigenous people of the land, we're all connected. There's no separation. And this, I just believe that it's a connection between all that. And this here, right here, this is how, like, we pray in Hamus too with cornmeal. With pollen. And I kind of took it like a symbolism, like we are, that's what I'm saying, we are all connected. And I think it's just a great picture. And then more corn, and that's it. um, I don't know. I'm just really happy to be a part of what we're doing, because I think it, it is really critical in this time to have something like this where our community comes together and is a part of something that is grounded within our roots, and we want to show that to the children. We don't want to leave them behind with, like how she was saying, with nothing to go to. So we're trying to show them that, like, our culture is important and you need to protect it, preserve it, and cherish it, or we're going to lose it. And I think for Pueblo people, farming is our foundation. And I think from there, we are able to show the children, because we are doctors out there, we're teachers out there, we're growing medicine out there. This is medicine right here. And we need to show the people, the children, and bring the intellect, the knowledge to them so they know as well and take it into wherever they need to go in life. Thank you.
Yes. Quickly, I just wanted to speak on Justin and his involvement, because we have foot races and dances in our traditional calendar at home. And there was a time when we were beginning to see a change, because what would happen is it would be a time when it was harvest. And so what used to be all the produce from what the men and the families were harvesting, we would bring and we'd race and we'd kind of share. That would be like a communal sharing. And what we were finding in these past, decades was it was like Walmart, you know what I mean? They're bringing you a band, like you get a beret instead of, corn. And what I always was so inspired by, Justin is also my cousin. We're all cousins here in some way distant relatives. But, he always inspired us, I think, as young people, making that turn and that difference in our lives and where we were going, because he brought that back. I remember at the time, it makes me cry, when he brought out his corn and his onions, and he was teaching the community, he was teaching our people about vegetation and produce. And they're like, he would come by our aunt's house, and our grandmas are really close sisters, and he would drop all these bundles of greens, like the chard, and they're like, what is this? But he was an answer to, I think some of you last year heard that we were watching pharmaceuticals come in, and the amount of where our healthcare system was going, that was so foreign and away from taking care of ourselves like this. And so I just want to say that Justin is really in his way inspired our traditional ways to come back and be in a life where now people are bringing out their produce, and it's back to what used to be in that way. And what he's saying, it's no more used to, it's like, oh, it's happening. And so a lot of our vision as a collective was to do this and be able to, I guess, give like a stronger voice for everyone in their individual goals, but towards this larger one, which was answering community needs and having a say-so in where we're directed in our health, because it's such at a peak, in a lot of the epidemics of health crises in Indian country. But this is such an answer, like they spoke about it. And so it was a big cause for us and our skill set and bringing us all together and be like, how do we do this, on a bigger platform and in a way that, again, is showing, like emulating. A lot of our teachings at home are all through action. You just watch. You grow up watching. You grow up hearing, listening. And it's kind of the same way we're taking this model, is we're just doing, showing by doing, and people are following. So.
Yeah, like they were saying, just bringing farming back to the pueblo, showing people that it's not, or that it's really like a lifestyle that you can profit from, not just like what everybody thinks like at home. It's like, oh well, we grow stuff, but it's just for the family. But then now we can actually like grow and profit from it. We can show that there is a lifestyle that we can actually be sustainable and help our community grow. Especially living in like on a reservation where there's no fresh food or there's nothing like that. You have to travel to go buy food and stuff. So just bringing that back home and showing other farmers that it's possible. And then also just like the love and the passion of doing it, like you plant the seed and then you watch it grow, and then at the end you have so much produce to share and eat. And this is my farm. Right here we have, and this is my girlfriend. We have corn, tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplant, chili growing there. And this is the way I trellised my tomatoes this year using old drip tape. There's Patrick praying for rain. So pretty much what I did is I just ran a double line on each side of the tomatoes and then just layered them up because there's so much drip tape laying all over everybody's farms and stuff. So we're just trying to help out everybody else to find ways to recycle it. And this was at the beginning when we planted. So that was before we put in all the posts and stuff. And this is the chili and corn that we planted. I didn't plant so much produce like for this year, more traditional crops because we don't have so much cold storage, so it's hard to store the produce. And this is a variety of tomatoes that I grew this year. They're called Indigo Rose. And they're like, it's really crazy when they're coming out. They're like super black. They look like marbles. And then they turn red at the end when they're ripe. Cool, that's it.
Thank you, James. Yeah. I want to invite John up from New Moon Lodge. Maybe you could introduce yourself and I'll pull up your photos. Okay. And just, we're going to try to delay lunch by like 10 minutes because there's so much good info and people need more time. So.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Naranjo. I'm half Santa Clara and half Hopi. I work for an organization called New Moon Lodge. It's through 8 Northern Indian Pueblos Council. I'm currently the programming coordinator there. And what it is we help adult Native American men with chemical dependency issues. And we have a 14-bed facility. And just like the young man was stating, going back to our roots and laying down the foundation, helping individuals with this addiction piece, which is thriving. It's like another revolt, but against chemical dependency. And it's not biased either. It afflicts everybody, every race. This is just the beginning of the season. Just about the time we were getting an area prepped for a high tunnel build ourselves on property. And so here we're starting irrigation at a place that's not a monster, but it's pretty close in size. This is one section. It's about the length of a football field. We have Hopi blue corn, Hopi black beans. Later on, we put some radishes in, and a bunch of volunteer watermelon from the year before grew also in this particular section. We have another section adjacent to that. This here is on property at New Moon Lodge, and we have a tractor that we were blessed with, so we have that technology, that resource. We were just allowed through a grant from Chamisa Foundation to get some new tools and stuff, and so one of them was a tiller, which comes in real handy and it minimizes time. When I facilitate groups with the clients, I have a day, and when there's lunch involved and breaks, it breaks it down, so you don't really have a whole lot of time, so you have to be innovative and engineer a system and a program that will minimize and give these clients more opportunity to get or have to be effective to get your message across to these clients. So here I had just plowed it. I had one of the clients come out and till while the rest of the guys were inside in group. And so we knocked this place out for a 72 by 30 by 16 space for a high tunnel. So this is the first morning. We're all running late. We're on Indian time. And so when we finally got together and got this thing going, just like the group from Chamisawa, you know, we were pounding. And so we understand what you were dealing with. Yeah. However, it didn't get squared up for some reason or other. I don't know. It just something was going on with that piece. But eventually, we did the best we could, and like the rest of the guys, the clients, in our beliefs, nothing is ever perfect, and the way it falls into place is the way it's gonna come together. So here we are putting together some pieces and starting to put it up. Everybody's helping, staff, clients, and by the way, clients are from all the pueblos in New Mexico and the other tribes as well, Navajo and Apache. Here's Patrick praying for more rain. He's actually helping us understand the breakdown, what we needed to do to get this thing going. And so as soon as we started placing everything and setting up the poles, and then it started to become more evident, okay, this is what it's starting to look like. This is what it's going to be. Here we are up on top putting things in place, tightening nuts and bolts, losing nuts and bolts, breaking them, putting our base and our furring strip. And then of course we have our supervisors too. This is a client, but he was walking around telling everybody, this is what you need to do, this is how it goes. So as we're doing this project at New Moon Lodge, I'm the one taking care of the farm because I only have one day out of the week with these guys on Tuesdays. So that's normally the day that we'd all be at the farm, at the field. So I said, okay, I'm going to start taking pictures of both, and so that way we can see the progress. And so here's our bean plants thriving. This is the other section, which is probably another football field length. Blue corn, purple, Hopi purple string beans, which we have here. And I had to put it on ice. We picked about close to 300 pounds or so of green beans yesterday. Maybe 180 pounds of cucumbers and a couple watermelons. And the birds are getting into our corn, so we're going to be picking that pretty soon too. So now we're getting it up. When we came to this particular point, it was like, oh shoot, I forgot to get this lumber. So we needed to wait a couple of weeks to get the lumber, and then finally when we got it in, then we started to work on it again, putting it in place, wrapping it up with plastic, tying it on and together, and then we finally started to get it situated. So by this time, the corn has grown too. Weeds are growing rampantly because of the rains, monsoon seasons here. Thankfully, because our water was turned off as well for about the same amount of time, 3 weeks. So Hopi blue corn normally grows so tall. But then it's planted 18 inches down into the soil. But in this case, it's an irrigated area, so we're planting it only down maybe a few inches, and then we're seeing the results of, which is 13, 15 feet tall. It's some real good soil here. There's squash, some chili. This is pictures. I'm looking at some other pictures too, and how we were seeing it. This is the wiggle wire that I was really impressed with. There's Patrick on the other side, and I'm on this other side. Clients are doing meditation in the morning, and here we are getting things together and already at it. This is a finished product. We have a roll-up door on this particular, just like Mr. Jaramillo's. I was able to go and see his at his residence. And then this is the finished product inside, outside. A lot of the guys were saying, well, I don't know if we're going to be planting in here. I think this is what we've been asking for all along. And I said, what's that? A sweat lodge. Oh, yeah. So we're very grateful for Patrick. He came and helped with us. He's an asset to your organization. He was really instructive, very helpful, educational, down to earth, very patient, and learn how to, I didn't know he knew as many country songs as I did. But on behalf of our organization from New Moon Lodge, we just wanted to share this with Patrick, some of this produce. This is some of the blue corn from our field, and the string beans and the cucumbers and the melon. So thank you very much.
So we have been able to delay lunch by a few minutes. That way everyone has the time to show their pictures and talk. Aaron, do you want to come up next from the Acoma Pueblo? I've got your pictures loaded.
I'll try to wish. All right. Well, Kwati hopa, kaita hopa, tishtan that's it. Kaita hopa, strayashtan that's it, actually. Basically, hello and good midday. Hope everybody's doing well today. Watoshna me koi este, koi hanstata, alko me hanstata, Aaron Loudon Medica, the Shia este. My name is Aaron Loudon. I'm coming from Acoma Pueblo. I am the program coordinator for the Acoma Ancestral Lands Office. We are a nonprofit organization that works on Acoma residual primary with Acoma and also some Laguna Pueblo youth since we're neighbors. We have a variety of different programs. We've been established since 2008. What we've done primarily in the past has been mostly just like service-based, service learning, land-based, ecological restoration type projects. But back in 2011, we ventured off, and a big part of our program, what we've been, that separates us from different kind of conservation core type programs, is that we try to fill the needs within the community of our programs. Ancestral Lands is a name for the offices that work primarily with Native American youth and inside Native communities led by, and these are all led by Native people within the Native communities as well. It started back in 2008. There is a community member named Corey Toribio. He's the one that started our program in 2008. We worked very hard with our tribal council just to get a nonprofit organization working on sovereign land, which was something the tribe was initially opposed to. But once they found out that it would be locally based and that it would be all local Native people working for the organization, then they're much more supportive of it. So. And then I came in around 2010, I believe, and I was an intern around working on the reservation. And I had a chance to see the program and what it was able to bring to our local youth and our young adults. And I love the program so much that I just wanted to be a part of it. Corey left the program, and he wanted someone to fill his position, and so I applied, and luckily I was able to get the opportunity. One of our biggest drives is just to serve local youth. There's not a whole lot of opportunity on the reservation. There isn't very much for our young people to do. Basically, just get in trouble. At least they think there's nothing to do. But something I like to tell our young people is that you guys are Hakwametr. What does Hakwa mean? Hakwa literally means prepared. It means the land is prepared. It's there waiting for us. Our ancestors searched hundreds, thousands of years for this place. Our creator said that this place will be waiting for you. It'll be waiting there. And then all you need to do is find this place, and it'll be there waiting for you. Everything you need is going to be there. Everything in that one spot is going to be there for you. And all you need to do is pray hard, and work hard, and be sincere, and you'll get it. So a lot of people forget that. Our young people forget that. Our people forget that this is everything we need is in this place. And so a big part of our program is is cultural revitalization as well. So we just came up with a vision statement the past couple of years, which states that we want to see our Native youth leading our nations back to ecological and cultural well-being. And I've been lucky enough to be a part of the program and see its growth the past 5 years now. Acoma started in 2008, and just 4 years ago, there was a program starting in Gallup, Mexico, which works with Navajo Nation youth. And then just 2 years ago, we started a program in Zuni Pueblo, working with Zuni youth and young adults. And this year, we're piloting a program in Hopi, called Hopi Ancestral Lands. So there's now four ancestral lands programs, and we all have our various programs. And they're all, like I said, land-based service learning opportunities, but how we interpret that in our communities is up to us. So in Acoma, one of our biggest programs and one of the biggest needs we saw in our community was, loss of agriculture, loss of tradition. So, you look around Acoma, you see all the way from the eastern community all the way to the western community, from Acomita down to Anzac. There's it's like good almost 40-mile stretch right there of land, and all that land lies along the Rio San Jose, and all that land used to be farmland. You see all these areas fenced in, and they're all filled with salt brush, and there's nothing being grown in them. There's only a handful of places, little plots here and there where you see things being grown. And you look at the farmers, they're all older gentlemen, all older folks, older people. And so you don't see too many younger people nowadays doing that. Back home, we have irrigated lands, which goes off the Rio San Jose, which isn't really a rio, it's a small creek, a very small creek, which is being spring-fed. It was even more impacted in the past 80 years when they dammed up the Blue Water area, what's now Blue Water Lake. They dammed up the area, and they used to feed into our Rio San Jose, and that plugged it up even more. So it basically dries up after you get towards Grants, and then it pops up again. And most of the water now is supplied through springs, several springs, I believe, that starts on Acoma land. And so pretty much that's where all of our water is. It's all spring, not really any kind of runoff or anything like that. So there's very little water too, and that's impacted a lot of our people and like what we've been able to do, and how much land we've been able to farm. My grandpa has talked about he would see our young people working with our program, and it makes me happy to see that. I never thought I would see that again. See all these young people working in the land, getting up at 7 a.m. And my dad used to wake us up before the sun even rose, be down there hoeing weeds all day, all summer, and he'd be working in the field the whole time. And it wouldn't be lazy. If you were too lazy, they would go drag you down to the river and dunk you in the water to make you wake up. So with our program, what we've been trying to do with our what's called our Acoma Farm Corps program is teach our young people, these traditional agriculture practices, not only the hard knowledge, the technical knowledge, but also the traditional perspective, the local indigenous perspective of what it means to have a field and what it means to take care of a field. This one right here is our first of our plot this year, and with the first few weeks, you can see the corn sprouting up in there. It's a good 2.5 acre plot, and we have another plot that's a dryland irrigated plot, which you don't see hardly. There's only traditional fields that are planted, which are planted in the Acoma Valley, which is dry irrigation, no irrigation or anything, just depending on rainwater. So, we also have I believe it's a 2 acre plot up in Acoma of a dryland field. So we have that as well. And all our youth manage those projects. We instruct them on what they need to be doing. I oversee them. I oversee the crew leaders, and then they oversee the crew members that work with our program. We work with mostly middle school and high school age youth, some college. The leaders are usually around college age, generally around 14 to 25 years old. We work with our program, and they all get paid a living stipend. They all also get an education award at the end of our program. We are funded through various different grants that we work very hard for. So yeah, a lot of this program is just pretty much all grant funded. But the main drive, like I said, is to teach these traditional agricultural practices. Because they're being lost, especially that knowledge. The knowledge is really valuable, and just our perspective. The first time I farmed, we used to do it a lot when I was little, but we didn't really appreciate it back then. You were just kind of go in the field and do it because you had to do it. Then your uncles made you do it. But I didn't really appreciate it back then until I started doing it myself, about 8 years ago. And I got seeds from my uncles. They let me use our old plot. And I irrigated and planted, and they sprouted. I was like, all right, they're good to go, So, and then I left them alone for about a good 2 weeks there. I didn't even go back to the field. And I always tell the story to people because my uncle came up to my house, the more stricter one. We call him the head Noah. He's the head uncle, the head father, basically, of our family. So he comes over to my house, and he sits me down. And I was like, thought he was going to scold me about something else entirely. But he basically tells me that, he said, on the way, he's like, you can't do that. I was like, do what? I was like, you haven't even been down your field. Your other uncle told me he lives right down there. He can see you when you're not down there. And you haven't been down there in 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, well, I irrigated. Isn't it okay now? I was like, yeah, but that's not all you do. That's what it's all about. And he explained to me, like, our perspective, our philosophy. Basically, it's, he explained to me that those things you plant in there, they're living beings. They're living, breathing things. They listen. You put babies in the ground, basically, is what you did right there. You planted, you put that seed in the ground, we gave you that seed, you put it in the ground, and it's going to grow in our mother, our mother, the earth, and it's going to grow just like the child grows in the mother's belly, and it's going to come out of the mother just like a child comes out of the mother's belly, and it's going to grow. It's going to be a uok. It's going to be a baby. What do babies need? Babies need a lot of care and attention. You always have to be there for babies, so you got to be there almost pretty much every day and visit your field, at least to show them you care for them, you're paying attention to them. So they need a lot of love. Children need a lot of love and attention, so you're going to care for it like you would a child. So you're going to go down there, and you do what you have to. You're going to irrigate, you're going to feed it, you're going to hoe those weeds, you're going to make sure it's nice and clean. You're going to go down there and talk to them. Even when you go in your field, you say, you greet them when you go in your field because they're living things. It's a living being. So, and then I explain more that you also seen our songs, our traditional songs that we sing during our summer ceremonies, because all those songs talk about our rain and growth and things becoming beautiful and green again, and they like those songs. They're going to hear you when you sing those songs. You're singing lullabies to them, basically. So you're talking to them. Even when you go in your field, you have good intentions. You be happy in your field. If you're happy around your children, you're going to have happy children too. So, and they're going to grow strong and beautiful, and that's what you're waiting for. Even when you put those seeds in the ground, tell them, he's what made the children grow. So you tell them all these different things. There's a lot of intention that goes with this field, this thing you planted. You're planting life in there. So you just left your children. You never leave your children. And so you're going to take care of that field. They're going to grow. They're going to need less attention. They're going to become like young adults, and they're going to start birthing their own children. The corn on there, that's going to grow. Eventually, they're going to start growing their own children. The stalks going to start drying up. They're going to become older, and you're going to lay them down. Eventually, what's going to live on is their seed, their children. So those are going to be their legacy and passing on, just like a person. So it's like a human life cycle. It's just like the corn, So anyways, things like that, that's the perspective we try to teach to our young people, not only the technical knowledge, but also, why we do it and how we do it and why we view how sacred it is to us, how sacred that farm, that plot is. So, but yeah, with our program, we also have been saving our seed. One thing that's come to our attention, as we're doing this, has all been pretty organic to me, just like going along, is realizing that our seed varieties are vanishing. Those are all arid adapted land raised seeds. I think that's what they call them nowadays. but these are our seeds that we've been planting here for hundreds of years. And seeds, remember, the homes they're grown in. These seeds are adapted to the places they've been grown in. All these changes, there's been changes and stories about how weather patterns changed, and there was droughts and stuff and things like that. And our seeds remember those times too, and so they're going to be the ones to survive all those hard times. So those seeds are resilient and strong like our people. So we've been saving our seeds with our program. A majority of it we give to our elderly center just for free. We just donate it, and to our members that work with our program. So they're able to save their seed and grow it the next year as well, and have their own plots as well. But we've been saving a good quarter of it for just our seed bank, a community seed bank. So we save these varieties of seeds as well. There's a picture in there, I think the next one over, maybe the one after that. There you go, back. So we noticed that there's a lot of varieties that are kind of dying out, basically. So that's one of the varieties. Right? This is a really cool one. This is one I'm most proud of because we've spent basically 4 years trying to grow this right here. That pumpkin you see right there, we call that a titishoko mech tan. Basically what that means is titishoko means like northern, mech means people, and tani means pumpkin. So it's a northern people pumpkin. It's a pumpkin we probably trade it from our neighbors up north somewhere maybe. But that's a variety that our old folks are always asking about if we're growing it, because you don't never see it anymore. So it's kind of hard to grow sometimes, but because the squash bugs always get to it. And I got some seed from my uncle, like I said, 5 years ago, and we tried plants in the past 3 years, and every year the squash bugs get to it. But this year we're like, all right, we have like 15 seeds left. We got to make sure these ones work this time. So we planted that one this year, and I made sure we. All right, as soon as you guys get to the field, check underneath every single leaf when you get in the midday, check it again. At the end of the day, check it again. Every single day, check on that field. Make sure, because this is all I have left, guys. If we lose this seed, then I don't know where else I'm going to get some. And my uncle's going to be mad at me. So, this is the first year we've been able to get some out of it, and we have a good, healthy crop, and they're really beautiful. The old folks call them banana pumpkins, and it's really cool. They come out in this like pinkish color, this pinkish orange color. They also come in like a crescent-shaped banana shape. That actually looks like a banana. It also comes in a light green, pale color, and they're just different shapes and colors, and they're all really pretty and beautiful. I'm like, wow, these are nice. And it said, I brought one over up to my house, and I showed my mom. I was like, wow, I haven't seen those in a long time. We used to see those during Hayati, the fall time when we have some of our ceremonies. You used to see those all the time, but you don't see those anymore. So that's the first time I've seen them in a long time. So hopefully we can keep saving those seeds and get them back and get into the community, get other native farmers to grow them, and get our young people to grow them too. And that's a little snapshot of our seed bank right there. The one picture on my right is that blue corn right there. That's some of our dryland blue corn. It's really short. It only grows about that tall. And we, just like John described, you plant it pretty deep in the ground. We planted ours about a foot in the ground, and they still spread out through a foot of dirt for the soil. And that's from some of our harvests from last year, and we're like really proud because just 2 months, no rain. 2 months and no rain, no irrigating at all, and that's crazy. I can't believe they survived that. We were like, how are they living through all this? It's so hot here. Even we're dying out here. It's so hot. And when we're hoeing weeds. We also teach them other skills. So we refenced our whole field. So we taught them how to build H-braces and construct the fence as well. That's that member sitting on that brace right there was our youngest member. She's 14 years old, Caitlin. She's so funny. She's so energetic. I did one side of that corner brace right there and showed her how to do it. All right, I'm going to show you this side. You can do it with me. Now you do this side. She did it like nothing. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And she was all proud of it too. It's like they're all cocky. They also do other things. So we try to incorporate our traditional diets, teach our young people how to cook our foods and relearn our traditional diets, because that's another thing we're suffering from, health, diabetes, because we strayed away so far from our traditional diets of corns, beans, and squash. So that's one of our crews, some of our crews constructing our what we call a pawashtani. We make ours of sandstone instead of the adobe bricks, so we have to quarry all the stone and shape them out and everything right there. That's one of our elders that at the senior center, he volunteered to show him how to do it, because he taught an elder taught him how to do it, and he said he wanted to teach the other younger people how to do it as well. So he's working with our crews making them, and that's the finished product there. That's the first time we fired them, and we baked the bread that day too, so it was really cool. This year we roasted corn as well out of the ovens, and yeah, so that was really cool. You get to right there. Yeah, this was just a few weeks ago. So we picked one row of corn. at our field. And we put them in there, and we had them roast overnight. So it was really cool. Next morning we came right away. Everybody came, like, that was the first time I think everybody was like 10 minutes early. So they all came in, and they all got their share of corn. Then with the rest we gave away to the seniors because we roasted a lot. So we gave the rest to the seniors, and I think the seniors just ended up taking it home and drying it and using it as chicos too. So that was really cool. So we incorporated a lot of traditional cooking classes into our program, and the seniors lead a lot of those classes too, like tamale making the blue corn mush, all these different things. And this is the next venture we're kind of going into. It started last year, and thanks to the help of Patrick, we're going to start calling him like Mr. 19 Pueblos because he's going to be on all these 19 Pueblos. So you can see the construction right there. This was a task, man. I think it's really cool hearing about everybody's different difficulties with their construction of their hoop house. Ours was the soil. That soil in there, I didn't think it is until like you actually hit into it. That stuff's like rock, man, and it's so weird. Like we even got an auger out there, and it was just sitting on the soil, and it wasn't doing anything. So we just all right, just get out the digging bars and the post hole diggers, and so we had to dig out every single one of those posts right there through that hard soil. So we had to dig through every single one of those. So that's what took forever right there, is getting to those posts. Because every time we tried to hammer it in too, they just mushroomed out the tube and the bottom. So it was just so tough. And so our young people are the ones that construct this along with Patrick and thanks to his instruction. So you can see it again and construct along the way. You can keep going through that. Pull over the plastic right there. And then, bam, they're done. And then so the big part of that is we actually installed raised bed gardens. There's 28 of them in there. And because the soil up there it's just clay, it's just hard compacted clay. So we brought in soil from local sources, and we constructed 28 raised bed gardens right there, and it's all going to be drip installed. So that's a kind of different for everybody, something new we've been trying. So, and this is located right outside our senior center. And the reason we wanted it there and not located in the field is because we wanted the seniors and our young people to have that interaction with each other and have the seniors be able to go out there to this nice warm place during the winter. Seniors, the old folks, they get cold. So we want to make sure that they can have a nice place where it's always green and beautiful. They can go in there, and if they want to work on the garden, they can do that. And that's us getting the local soil in there. It's been a task right there. Those are our leaders right there, installing the raised bed gardens last season. And that's us taking a break right there. That was just this past week. We picked one of our watermelons, our yellow watermelons from the field, and that was the first one we picked that was like ripe. We've been testing them out like every week, and like they're not ripe yet. And finally, just didn't get too anxious, So that's when we finally busted one open. I was like, we don't have a knife. Just do it the old way. Just got a rock and just pound it down, and we just start tearing it apart. And you see right there, we just like, oh man, that was so good. It was like, and then they were so proud of it too, just seeing it's like you just realize how all the hours of sweat and labor, all the hoeing weeds, all the irrigating, all that making the ditches, planting the corn, getting the hand tilling the field, all this stuff, it took so much work. I realized that that's what your hard labor can do. And a lot of people are looking at our field. We get a lot of good comments in the community because of our corn in our field. And honestly, there's a person that planted, there's the same size, I think, just north of us. He planted like 2 weeks ahead of us, too. And this is an older gentleman. He was honestly his older gentleman was a little grumpy, and he would kind of say, oh, you guys don't know what you're doing, and say stuff to us. I was like, no, I think we got it. And and then here his corn's about yay high, and then ours is a good 12, 13 feet high, and it's just like producing like crazy. And everybody always comes up to our members, and everybody's always coming up to us and saying, man, you guys' field looks nice. I haven't seen a field look that nice in a long time. And so it's because you guys put that much care into it. And I told you guys, you put care into your children, love your children, then that's what happens. They grow pretty and beautiful like that. So. And just realize how much work it took to make those children pretty and beautiful. All those hours of sweat. The hard thing, the easy things in life, are hard, are easy to do. The good things in life are hard to do. So it's just realize that. So it's been a really good opportunity this past summer. There's a lot of learning experiences, a lot of curves we had to go through as far as funding. There was just so many problems this year we had to jump through, but it was. it was a really good year, and really proud of our young members right there. You know, they're all, you know, they look all cocky right there too. But anyways, that's our program, and I'm just like honestly really inspired, you know, seeing our, you know, Hema sheets, our, you know, all our brothers and sisters over there, you know, doing their thing, and then everybody over here, just, you know, brother over here from San Juan, you know, that's really cool. It's amazing to see all these different farmers doing these different things, and farmers, y'all are. I respect farmers a lot because, you know, you're a farmer, you're a hard worker. Automatically, I just know you're a hard worker. I look at you like that person spends a lot of time in the sun, spends a lot of time working in the field, because you can't rest, you know, very much when you have a field. You have those kids you have to take care of. So my respect to you all, and good luck to you all in the next all these growing seasons, you know, and I'm very happy to be part of this and hopefully get to share more stories with people too. So thank you, everybody, and just glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. If the folks from Chaparral and Anthony could come forward. This is the group, I think, that came the farthest. Come on up. I'll load up your pictures. And you guys have 15 minutes because we also have introductions from other folks that are not farmers, but we wait to the end to kind of share who they are, and then we're going to go to lunch. So we've got Mario's photos, and Shahid, you gave me photos, right? Well, we'll start with Mario's while I look for yours. Okay. Oh, Mario gave a lot. But remember, time.
Yeah. Do we have the control? Is this one? Okay. Thanks. Hola, buenos días. Hi. Good morning. My name is Mario, and I work for Taylorhood Farms. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing the last year. So I was working. Okay, first I took the program, the Farm to Farmer training program of the AFSC, like 3 or 4 years ago, and then I became an apprentice, and then kind of a trainer, or I was teaching workshops to the farmers around the area. And then after that, I have the opportunity to start my own project, Desierto Verde. Is that at the Anthony Youth Farm? It was about half of an acre, and after that, well, let me just show more pictures. No. Okay, yeah, please. Okay. Yeah, so that was the farm, the Desierto Verde at the Anthony Youth Farm. I was growing, greens, lettuce, kale, arugula, radishes, and I was selling consistently, like twice per week to the 10 restaurants in El Paso, and then to the schools and to Taylorhood Farms and to CSA in El Paso too. Yeah, I was growing basically lettuce, salad mix, and that it's an order for schools and then for the farmers market and restaurants. For schools, yeah, I was harvesting a lot. That is the farmers market. Yeah, that is outside Whole Foods, and my son was helping me. And mustard greens, radishes, more radishes, and then some microgreens. I grow. Sometimes I grow microgreens in my home. That is my son helping me at the farmers market. He already knows the prices and everything. That's the microgreens too. And then this spring I started working for Taylorhood Farms. That is farmers market in El Paso. That is the produce from there. And we start a farm in Socorro, Texas. That is the new farm. It's a 5 acre land, and he's letting me use 1 acre for my own project. That it's cucumbers. And there's my son helping me planting tomatoes, about 1,000 tomatoes. But I had like everybody like a total loss, because probably like the soil or curly top. So I didn't harvest like not even 1 pound of tomatoes. Yeah. But I mean, the farm is new, the soil is new. We are in a learning process there. There's some cucumbers. The tomatoes like that are that sunflower. Yeah, like we started, the produce started growing very well, and then after a couple of weeks, they die. So now, like, can you go back, please? Where it used to be a Sudan grass farm. So what we are doing is we're mulching, and we're planting between the straw. Okay, then.
It was like AFSC photos or something, right? So yeah, we'll do what we do in the South, which is we catch whatever's left from the North. We're used to it. So anyway, we started Taylor Hood Farms about a year and a half ago. It was after some work that I was able to do with AFSC and establishing Solitiera Cooperative, which is what we have in the South now. We have about four active farmers, and it looks like we're recruiting a couple more. Right now we're kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus, waiting to see if some funding comes through, because we don't have like an active director or marketing. So by proxy, it kind of falls, that kind of stuff ends up being my job now. You guys owe me some money. I'm just kidding. So I was able to take over 3 acres in Mesilla, right outside of Las Cruces, and this is the beginning of that project, which is Taylor Hood Farms. This is one of our goats, which was born on the farm. We raise goats, chickens, rabbits, rattlesnakes. Rattlesnake wrangling is a new thing for me. We built a learning center on the farm from the ground up. I was able to get some funds, and so we just it's not square either. I'm happy for drywall and paint, because it makes it look a lot better at the end. So one of our local printers printed up a sign for us. They saw this work that we were doing, and they came in and donated that to our farm, which I was appreciative of. And this is sort of the finished product of the learning center, where we do classes and workshops. We do some yoga classes inside. They do yoga with goats. That's a new thing. People do goat yoga. So our yoga, that's us finishing up that house. So this is a hoop house that we built. We just used 4x4, 2x6, and PVC pipe. And then we were able to get some 12 mil film and put over the top of it. And we had the same issues with trying to square it. And in the end, it worked. This is some spinach that we were able to put in the ground. And we grew probably, I don't know, about 300 or 400 pounds of spinach that we were able to sell to the schools. So that was a good project for us. So we got this refrigerated van for delivery. So we can do local deliveries. I actually bought, you see this thing right here? That's the Skarsgård. I bought that van from him. And it was hard taking the stuff off, so I left it. So people think that's like part of our logo, but it's really just like I couldn't peel that off. And one of our revenue streams is we do actually local deliveries for Skarsgård. So it kind of works out, you know, when we show up, people at least recognize us as somewhat related to the company they ordered from. And so this is the beast. This is the 5 acre plot. When we started, it was beautiful. We had all these ideas of what we were going to grow in it. And mostly we grow Sudan grass, it looks like, because that's what they grew before, and we didn't go down deep enough to disc it. So right now we're just trying to utilize what we were given, you know. So we were given all this straw. So we're going to try to mulch and kind of use it like, you know, one straw revolution approach and say if we can mulch that and then start growing that way, and then we'll act like that was our intention, if it works. This is True Food, which is a local CSA. I worked with them at the beginning. They started off with about 10 boxes a week. We started working with Solitiera to put some of the boxes together, and then they said, well, it's a lot easier for us to work with one farmer, and I just happen to have the van and like the resources to do it, so we started kind of incorporating that into our business. So now True Food is a CSA box that serves El Paso and Las Cruces. I think we do on average about 40 boxes a week. They established a relationship with the city of El Paso and the county of El Paso for their Farm to Work program. So we're projecting over the next year probably upwards of like 50 to 60 boxes per week, and maybe even more. So it's one of those things that we're trying to help develop our co-op, the farmers that participate with us. This is kind of one of those guaranteed sales that we have. It's hard to keep up with that box, actually. I'm always like week to week hoping that we actually have enough food, because we've committed to it and they've committed to it. And the county, those people, they just think they're shopping at the grocery store. They're just like, we want these things. So we just, we magically from week to week, we come up with it somehow. But now we're also working with some other producers outside of the state to get like oranges and mango and pineapple, just to have some variety there. So I'll pass this on. Thanks for inviting us up here. Like we say, we're used to this part. And we live off of it, though. We do well with what's left over. The squash bugs, we don't appreciate so much, so stop sending those down. But they're active, and this year we made it. I mean, they beat up our first couple months of all of our squash, and we just sat there. But now it seems like they're either tired of eating it, or the squash has figured out how to coexist with them, so we're making it back now. So thank you.
Mi nombre es Olivia López y vengo de Chaparral. Venimos nosotros tres solamente. Somos un grupo pequeño que estamos empezando, como quien dice, de nuevo. Somos 6 personas y la líder, el señor Patrick, la conoce, es Irma Solís. Y pues nosotros realmente sembramos en nuestras casas cada quien. Hace 3 años yo empecé con solamente con un cuadro de 30 por 25. El año pasado lo agrandé a 100 pies por 30. Y pues sigo, lo que me importa es que tengas el deseo y las ganas de hacerlo. Porque nosotros lo hacemos en grupos pequeños, pero cada quien levantamos diferente cosecha. Gracias a Dios este año a mí se me dio mucho pepino, zucchini y calabacita mexicana. Y lo que tengo ahorita también todavía es mucho melón. La sandía se me dio mucha, pero no sé si alguien da un consejo o algo. La sandía, cuando ya iba creciendo, de aquí de la guía a la otra orilla empezaba una mancha negra y se iba agrandando y la calabaza se echaba a perder. Entonces se tiraba mucha calabaza. Mucha sandía. La sandía se echó a perder. Lamentablemente no levantamos mucha porque eso sucedió. También lamentablemente nos cayó la plaga, mucha plaga por motivo del agua. Nos acabó casi con todo el sembradillo y pues hubiéramos querido, ¿verdad?, que siguiéramos levantando más. Yo no lo vendí, yo lo regalé. Regalé pepino, regalé la calabacilla, regalé melones, para ayudar a la gente, solamente para que la gente comiera saludable, porque tenemos... mande.
Disculpe, ¿sí podría dar un espacio para que Alma interprete? Si usted puede hablar, esperar un espacio y que se interprete.
Gracias. Sí, lamentablemente, miren, el Chaparral se dice que es la ciudad olvidada, que no recibimos muchas ayudas, mucho apoyo, inclusive batallamos, la gente que está vendiendo producto batalla para venderlo. Y como estamos empezando otra vez de nuevo, pues Irma hace lo posible hasta donde ella puede por ayudarnos.
And since we're trying to start all over again, Irma starts helping us as much as she can. help us and support us and was able to let us come here and to support us to come all the way over here. And she's going to talk about her produce that is different than mine. So my name is Victoria, and I'm also from the group. And I was from Chaparral, and I was able to also to have zucchini, calabazas, ¿qué más dijo, señora? Garlic and onions. Thank you. So I did not have enough to pick up, but what I did gave some of my neighbors and the community.
I was able to sell quin. And as Emilia Lopez was said, we need the help so that we grow our garden. I also want to thank Patricio and Irma who helped us with the seeds and cover. Now I'm gonna. I want to thank the people who have lent a hand to us all the way to Chaparral. Patricio, who we'll hear about over there, who lent us a hand. Before it was going bad, we would just give it away.
Y pues yo, mi esposa es la que se dedica, ¿verdad? Más bien a cultivar, ¿verdad? Allí lo que se pueda, lo que tiene. Y pues yo me dedico a criar borregas, ¿verdad?
So my wife is the one who actually harvests whatever she can, and I basically grow sheep.
Y pues es lo que me dedico yo ahorita por allá. Tengo poquitas, ¿verdad? No tengo muchas, pero hay posibilidad, ¿verdad? Para criarlas allí, de ahí las pasteo con los vecinos, ¿verdad?
So I basically grow sheep. I don't have a lot. I have a few, and I take them out to eat around my neighbors' parcels.
Pero es muy buena producción esa, ¿verdad? Es producción, se venden los animales, ¿verdad? Y pues yo no trabajo más que en eso, ¿verdad?
So it's a good production. I don't work in anything else but that.
Sí, pues doy las gracias, ¿verdad? A todos ustedes también, porque pues también, ¿verdad? Hay ayuda de todos ustedes, hay cooperación de una forma o de otra. Quiero darles las gracias a todos, ¿verdad? Patricio.
And I want to thank
Gracias,
you all.
Patricio.
I want to thank you all because there is is cooperation, there is support from all of you. I want to thank Patricio.
Y cuando guste para dar una vueltecita, ¿verdad? Tengo mi cuñada también, se me estaba pasando, ¿verdad? Y así es Esperanza Briones, y pues también levanta bastante cosecha, simplemente este poquito, pues levanté una cosechita poca, ¿verdad? Se dieron pocas sandías, ¿verdad? Pero muy sabrosa la sandía.
And so there, whenever you want to come over, you're welcome to. I also have my sister-in-law who also harvests, and we were able to get a few watermelons, not a lot, but a few. They were really good, but just a few.
Pues les doy las gracias a todos, ¿verdad? Y que Dios nos los bendiga a todos.
And I want to thank you all, and may God bless you all.
All right. I am sorry that last year we had 2 hours for intros. This year we had 3 hours for intros, and you used the 3 hours. We're going to move to lunch in a moment, but I think this was a really good way for us to know each other a little bit, to see each other's pictures. There are a couple of folks I just want to quickly just acknowledge rather than give them the microphone. Aisha Mason is my Associate Regional Director in the back. Aisha, if you would raise. She flew in from Los Angeles yesterday to be with us. And after being with AFSC for 12 years, she's retiring this month. So she's come many, many years. She knows many of you. So we're happy that before she retires, she's with us. And next to her is Jen Mansfield, who is a grant writer for AFSC and helps us get the funds in order to support you. So happy that Jen can be here as well. And I think otherwise, everyone's introduced themselves except for Patrick Jaramillo, Maria Brazil, who was a key person to how everything came together today. She's going to tell us where to go for lunch. We were able to delay lunch 10 more minutes, but we do want people to come back into this room by 1:30 so we can go in with the rest of the afternoon. So I'm going to let Maria share that.